Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. The day Ethan Sterling said he wanted to pursue me, the entire campus made bets, guessing how long it would take me, a scholarship student, 3 or 5 days to fall for Ethan Sterling's designer sneakers. But 3 months passed, then 5, and I still hadn't accepted Ethan Sterling's pursuit. Because I knew very well that a relationship between a scholarship student and a scion of an elite family from New York's elite circles could never be equal. It wasn't until Grandma Rose, with whom I had been living, fell seriously ill. He, a wealthy heir, went to a construction site and moved bricks for a month. When the young man placed the money in my palm, his eyes were bright and firm, and he said, "This money is what I earned myself, not from my family. I know you think I'm a trust fund kid and unreliable, so I'll stand on my own 2 feet to give you a future." I was moved by the young man's sincerity, thinking I finally had someone to lean on. Until one day, Ethan Sterling's adopted sister returned from abroad. With a face that was 5 parts similar to mine, she demanded to know if I had stolen her watch. Ethan Sterling, usually so gentle, turned on me. He pressed his foot onto my hand and threatened me. "Lily, if you don't return Sophia's watch, I'll cut off Grandma Rose's medical bill." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Hearing the words, "cut off Grandma Rose's medical bill," I looked up at Ethan Sterling and with a choked voice said, "But I really didn't steal Sophia's watch. How many times do I have to say it before you believe me?" Seeing my tear-streaked and disheveled face, Sophia covered her mouth and pretended to be distressed. "Actually, this watch isn't that expensive, only a few $100,000. But Ethan, do you remember? You gave it to me as a farewell gift the year I went abroad for studies. It holds special meaning to me." After hearing Sophia's words, Ethan Sterling's gaze towards me grew even colder, and his foot pressed down harder on my fingers. He stared at me and said, "Word for word, only you came into this room just now. After you entered, the watch was gone. Who else could have stolen it if not you? Today is Sophia's welcome home party, and besides you, everyone here comes from a prominent family." Ethan Sterling didn't say anything more, just looked at me coldly. A piercing pain continuously shot through my hand. I knew what he wanted to say. He wanted to say that apart from me, a scholarship student, no one else here would have any reason to steal Sophia's watch. We had been together for a year, and he had always said he didn't care about my humble background, saying that his love for me was enough. But now that something like this had happened, he immediately kicked me to the ground, certain that I had stolen his adopted sister's watch. I didn't. Even if I say it 100 times, I still didn't. I screamed, sprawled on the ground. How can I admit to something I didn't do? Or maybe just let it go? Even though I've worn that watch for many years and have an attachment to it, it's not right to treat your girlfriend like this over a watch. Sophia held Ethan Sterling's arm, acting understanding. But I clearly saw the contempt in her eyes when she looked at me as if I were nothing more than an ant. I had seen that look countless times before Ethan Sterling started pursuing me. I was the most famous scholarship student in school, wearing faded clothes and worn-out canvas shoes, eating subsidized meals for a few dollars in the cafeteria. Until one day, Ethan Sterling saw me in the cafeteria. He told everyone he was going to pursue me. He was a scion of an elite family from New York's elite circles, worth hundreds of millions. Everyone said I was about to have a rags-to-riches story, that just getting a little something from him would be enough for me to live lavishly for a while. The entire campus made bets saying I'd fall for Ethan Sterling's designer sneakers in 3 or 5 days. But Ethan Sterling pursued me for a whole year, and I showed no signs of accepting him. I was from a humble background, and I knew very well that wealthy kids like Ethan Sterling wouldn't genuinely fall for me. I didn't want to use him, nor did I want to be involved with him in any way. So, I avoided him whenever possible until my Grandma Rose fell seriously ill. I poured all my savings into her treatment, but it still wasn't enough. Ethan Sterling disappeared for a month after hearing about it. The next time we met was at the hospital. The former wealthy heir was deeply tanned, and he wore mud-stained clothes from a construction site. When he saw me, he flashed a bright smile and placed money in my palm. "This money is what I earned myself, not from my family. I know you think I'm a trust fund kid and unreliable, so I'll stand on my own 2 feet to give you a future." At that moment I was moved by him. I believed him when he said he would love me for a lifetime. But today, all the illusions Ethan Sterling had given me were shattered. He said his adopted sister, Sophia, had returned from graduating abroad and invited me to mooch a meal. But the moment I saw Sophia, I felt something was off because Sophia and I looked at least 5 parts alike. I felt extremely uncomfortable throughout the dinner. Just as the meal was about to end, Sophia called Ethan Sterling and me to the lounge, saying her watch was missing, and that lounge was where I had just gone to change clothes after getting my skirt hem dirty. Seeing that I still wouldn't admit it, Ethan Sterling pulled out his phone. He dialed a number without emotion, telling the hospital to stop Lily Chen's Grandma Rose's medical bill for now. After all, she now has a watch worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in her possession. Hearing that, I instantly broke down. No, please don't. Believe me. Please believe me. I really didn't steal her watch. I even wrote you an IOU for Grandma Rose's medical bill. I'll work to pay you back. Please don't stop Grandma Rose's medical bill. Sophia looked at me with cold disdain, yet her voice was incredibly gentle. All right, Ethan. It's just a watch, isn't it? You can buy me a new one later. Don't be so hard on the girl. Ethan Sterling looked at her with a complicated expression, then let out a heavy sigh and coaxed her. That watch was a gift from me the year you went abroad. You've worn it for so many years. Its meaning is different now. How can you just say let it go? Oh, just buy me another one later. Sophia clung to Ethan Sterling's arm and acted coy. Watching the scene unfold before me, the last thread of my heart snapped. The thing I had been guessing all night seemed to be confirmed. Sophia's face, which was 5 parts similar to mine, was the best proof. Perhaps Ethan Sterling had never loved me. He had always been using me as Sophia's substitute. No wonder his attitude towards me had changed so quickly. It was because the real person was back and he no longer needed me, the stand-in. Cried out in pain. Ethan Sterling seemed not to notice my emotional shift. He pointed to the 2 bodyguards standing in the corner and ordered them. Since the watch wasn't found in the private dining room, it must still be on her. Strip her clothes. I don't believe you won't find it. Hearing Ethan Sterling threaten to strip my clothes, I instantly curled up and pleaded. No, please don't. I really didn't steal her watch. You can check the surveillance cameras, but you can't humiliate me like this. Still don't want to admit it. Ethan Sterling rubbed the bridge of his nose between his eyebrows and told the 2 bodyguards. What are you standing around for? Search her. The sound of fabric tearing ripped through the air. At that moment, my heart turned to ashes. Eventually, I was left with only a camisole and safety shorts. As I gave up, struggling, lying on the ground like a dead fish waiting to be butchered, the bodyguard hesitated and asked Ethan Sterling, Young master, should we still search? Ethan Sterling's face was dark as he told the bodyguard, Get out. After the bodyguard left, he looked at me. My clothes and bag had already been thoroughly searched by his bodyguards, and nothing was found. The clothes I was wearing now had no place to hide a watch. He squatted down and looked at me. Lily, I don't want my girlfriend to be a thief. Tell me, where did you hide the watch? As long as you admit your mistake and correct it, Sophia and I can pretend nothing happened. I looked at him, this young man I had once thought to be the most sincere, and suddenly felt his face was utterly unfamiliar. Ethan Sterling, your people have stripped me like this and you still won't believe me? All right, Ethan, the watch is gone. It's gone. You can accompany me to buy another one later. But as for this girlfriend of yours, maybe it's best to break up with her. Although our family doesn't care about background, my parents do care about a person's character, Sophia said, taking Ethan Sterling's arm and pulling him up from the ground. Ethan Sterling looked at me as if he wanted to say something, but Sophia cut him off directly. Dad just messaged saying he wants us to get together. Don't waste any more time. Let's just consider this watch her severance pay. It's been tough for her being with you for a year. She chuckled and looked at me with disdain as if I truly were the thief who had stolen her watch. But I could guess that this watch was her tool to frame me and even declare her ownership. She was telling me with this incident that in front of her I was nothing. Even if Ethan Sterling and I were in a normal relationship, as long as she wished it, Ethan Sterling would immediately return to her side. Ethan Sterling said nothing more and walked out decisively. After they left, I lay on the ground for a long time until my phone alarm rang, and I struggled to get up. After picking up my phone, I first transferred all the money I had to Grandma Rose's medical bill. Then, feeling somewhat numb, I got myself together, preparing to head to my part-time job. I had given Ethan Sterling an IOU for Grandma Rose's medical bill, and I had promised to pay him back. Opening the room door, I found Ethan Sterling waiting outside. He held a lit cigarette between his fingers, half-smoked, and numerous cigarette butts were scattered around his feet. I tried to ignore him and leave, but he grabbed my arm. "Did you really not take that watch?" I turned to look at him, a cold laugh escaping my lips. "What? Do you want to strip me naked again?" Ethan Sterling frowned, then suddenly said, "Forget it. I'll buy Sophia a new watch. Don't worry about what she said about a breakup fee. As long as I haven't said we're breaking up, then we haven't. Don't do things like this again in the future. If you need money, you can tell me." Hearing his words, I almost laughed. "I'll say it one last time. I really didn't take her watch. All right, let's just leave it at that." Ethan Sterling dropped those words and turned to leave. I took the bus to my part-time job at the mall. I had a part-time job as a cleaner at the mall 3 hours a day, earning $1,800 a month. But as soon as I arrived, before I even had time to change, I ran into Ethan Sterling and Sophia. As soon as she saw me, Sophia scrutinized me from head to toe. She suddenly raised her voice and demanded, "What are you doing here? You're not here to fence stolen goods, are you?" It was then I noticed that I was standing right outside a luxury consignment store. "You steal my watch 1 minute and the next you're here to sell it off. Didn't expect to see me here, did you?" Sophia's words made passers-by stop in their tracks. I looked at her and said, "Miss Sterling, I'm telling you one last time, I did not steal your watch. I'm here for a part-time job. If you don't believe me, you can check the mall surveillance footage." Seeing the crowd grow larger, Sophia sighed. "It's not that I care about a watch, but because you're my brother's girlfriend, and I don't want his girlfriend to be a thief." At this, the people around us began to point fingers at me. I wanted to confront her, but she started to walk away with large strides. I went to grab her, saying, "Worst case, we can just call the police to handle it." But just as my hand brushed against Sophia's clothes, she screamed and fell to the ground. Seeing Sophia fall, Ethan Sterling, without a word, slapped me across the face. "Lily-chan, haven't you caused enough trouble?" My ears rang, and for a moment the world spun around me. When I came to my senses, Ethan Sterling had already left, carrying Sophia in a princess carry. The mall manager appeared out of nowhere and fired me without explanation. Stepping out of the mall, the sky opened up and the rain grew heavier and heavier. I frantically found a bus stop to shelter from the rain, and all the grievances and helplessness crashed over me. At that moment, even the heavens were bullying me. I even felt like dying, but Grandma Rose was still waiting for me and still needed my care. Grandma Rose had raised me herself. As long as she was alive, I still had a home. I cried freely in the rain. Just then my phone rang. I pulled it out. It was the hospital. Remembering Ethan Sterling's call to stop the medical bill, I instinctively thought they were calling about the medical bill and quickly said, "Don't worry. I will definitely pay on time." But the person on the other end cut me off directly. "Miss Chan, when the nurse did her rounds just now, she found that your family member pulled out her oxygen tube herself. She has passed away." In the private dining room, Ethan Sterling felt a wave of irritation. Sophia was flitting around the private dining room, toasting everyone like a social butterfly. He then thought of me. Every time he took me out for a meal, I would just eat quietly, incredibly well behaved. Thinking of me, Ethan Sterling's irritated mood eased somewhat. He had indeed liked his adopted sister, but now it seemed I held a greater place in his heart. It was just that I was too poor, and stealing was certainly wrong, and I had never spent Ethan Sterling's money. Ethan Sterling secretly hoped that through this incident, I would become a little more compliant in the future and truly accept his help. As he thought this, Ethan Sterling's gaze fell upon Sophia. But then he saw a corner of a diamond-encrusted watch strap peeking out of Sophia's pocket. It was the very watch Sophia had repeatedly claimed was lost. This watch was a gift he had personally given her. He knew it intimately. At that moment, Ethan Sterling's mind went blank, and his entire body unconsciously stiffened. "Grandma Rose. Grandma Rose." I knelt helplessly by the hospital bed, clutching Grandma Rose's old, cold hand. The nurse who had been caring for Grandma Rose said that everything had been perfectly fine with her today, but during her rounds, she mentioned that Ethan Sterling had stopped Grandma Rose's medical bill. After Grandma Rose heard this, her spirits began to sag. Grandma Rose even asked me if she was a burden to me. At that time I comforted her, saying that with such a wonderful child like you, Grandma Rose would surely recover. Don't be too sad. Perhaps leaving is also a liberation for Grandma Rose. The nurse spoke words of comfort behind me, but at that moment, I couldn't hear anything. Grandma Rose had pulled out her oxygen tube herself. I knew she didn't want to burden me anymore, but I had never thought of Grandma Rose as a burden. All I wanted was for Grandma Rose to be alive. Just last night I had said that once I made a lot of money, I would take Grandma Rose to see the beach. But now there would be no more chances. Ethan Sterling's phone kept ringing. Staring at the blinking screen, I closed my eyes in agony. If he hadn't called the hospital to cut off Grandma Rose's medical bill, perhaps Grandma Rose would never have pulled out her oxygen tube today. Meanwhile, after finding my calls weren't going through, Ethan Sterling grew completely anxious. Just then, Sophia approached him with a wine glass. He watched with his own eyes as Sophia pushed the watch deeper into her pocket. By this point, even a fool would have understood the truth. Ethan Sterling stared fixedly at Sophia, then suddenly said in front of everyone, "Actually, your watch wasn't lost at all, was it?" Hearing this, Sophia's face instantly changed. She instinctively tried to cover her pocket, but Ethan Sterling was quicker, snatching the watch from her pocket. "Do you know how much I trusted you? Do you know how I treated my girlfriend because of you? What is the meaning of this now? Your watch wasn't lost at all. How long were you going to keep up this charade?" Ethan Sterling's voice gradually rose, his usual composure and good manners completely gone. He remembered my unanswered calls, remembered having my clothes stripped just to find this watch that wasn't even lost, and he felt a chill run through him. He knew perfectly well that I had strong self-respect. Yet, he had humiliated me so recklessly. His original intention was for me to be more compliant, but now he realized he seemed to have made a terrible mistake. "I don't know." Sophia shook her head, putting on an innocent expression. "Ethan, don't you believe me? I don't know why this watch is in my pocket." Ethan Sterling's face was so dark it looked like water would drip from it. Just then his phone rang. Seeing it was a call from the hospital, Ethan Sterling's heart pounded fiercely. A premonition of ill omen washed over him. He answered the phone. It was the doctor he had arranged to specifically look after Grandma Rose. The doctor's voice was anxious. "Mr. Sterling, Ms. C. Hence Grandma Rose has passed away. Apparently it was because she heard you cut off her medical bill and didn't want to burden Ms. Chan. It's over. Everything's over." Ethan Sterling's lips turned white, and he could no longer hear any sounds around him. Ignoring the room full of family and friends, he pushed open the door and ran out. When Ethan Sterling found me, I had just come out of the morgue. "Lily." Ethan Sterling called my name. I looked up at him, my eyes swollen and red. "Are you all right, Lily?" Ethan Sterling's voice trembled with fear. He tried to grab my hand, but I instantly pulled away. My red and swollen eyes met his and I said softly, "Ethan Sterling, let's break up." Hearing the word break up, Ethan Sterling froze instantly. I took 2 steps back and looked directly at him. "I'll find a way to pay back Grandma Rose's medical bill. I won't run. As for Sophia's watch, I really didn't steal it. If you really don't believe me, then go to the police. We'll let them investigate." Ethan Sterling looked at me, knowing I was drawing a clear line between us. This feeling of about to lose me made him panic and fear. He walked closer, pulling me into his arms, holding me tightly and said, "No, Lily, I know I was wrong. I know you didn't steal the watch. Please don't leave me, okay? Grandma Rose is gone. You only have me. Please don't leave me, okay?" He pleaded frantically. I don't know where I found the strength, but I directly broke free from his embrace and looked at him with a cold laugh. "Ethan Sterling, the moment you questioned whether I stole Sophia's watch, we should have ended things. Grandma Rose pulled out her oxygen tube herself. I know that without you, Grandma Rose might not have made it this far, and I'm very grateful to you. But there's no future for us. No, Lily, don't leave me. I truly like you. This was my fault. Can I apologize to you? It was the first time I had seen Ethan Sterling so distraught. His eyes were almost bloodshot. Just then Sophia appeared out of nowhere. She grabbed Ethan Sterling. "Ethan, you're going too far this time. Leaving all our family and friends just to see this impoverished person." "She's not an impoverished person." As if provoked by Sophia, Ethan Sterling suddenly pulled Sophia, dragging her in front of me. "Apologize to Lily. You secretly hid the watch and framed Lily, making me misunderstand her. All of this is your fault. Now apologize to Lily." Sophia's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief as she looked at Ethan Sterling. "You want me to apologize to her? Ethan, are you crazy? What is she to you that you demand I apologize to her?" "Yes. Wasn't it you who hid the watch? You're the one who caused Lily to break up with me. You must apologize." Sophia scoffed, then pointed at me. "Ethan Sterling, do you really think I don't know your little schemes? Do you really like her? Don't you just like her face that looks like mine? Now that I'm back, the real one is in front of you. And you're actually asking me to apologize to this impoverished fake." As she spoke, she suddenly strode up to me and slapped me across the face. I couldn't react in time, and my face was scratched by Sophia's manicure. Blood instantly dripped to the ground. Sophia looked triumphantly at Ethan Sterling and raised an eyebrow. "That's my way of apologizing to her. Are you satisfied?" Seeing the injury on my face, Ethan Sterling roared like an enraged lion. "You actually hurt her." In the end, Ethan Sterling's mother arrived with people to put an end to the farce. She had Ethan Sterling and Sophia taken away, then left people to help me with Grandma Rose's funeral arrangements. After Grandma Rose's funeral, Mrs. Sterling invited me to a coffee shop. The bitter coffee entered my mouth, and after a while, I heard Mrs. Sterling's voice. "What do you plan to do now?" I lowered my head and said nothing. I heard Mrs. Sterling continue. "You're still young. You should continue your studies, but I don't think you should appear in front of my son again. It's not good for him, and it's not good for you." My hand trembled slightly on the mug handle. I looked up at Mrs. Sterling and asked, "So what are you trying to say?" Mrs. Sterling looked at me, then leaned back wearily on the sofa and said, "I know Sophia wronged you and caused you distress, so I'm willing to fund your studies abroad. You are diligent, intelligent, and determined, so I am willing to help you. Of course, you can also consider this my compensation as her adoptive mother for Sophia's wrongdoing." I was silent for more than 10 seconds. Mrs. Sterling told me, "I'll give you a day to consider. Tell me tomorrow if you want to go abroad." I watched her pick up her bag, then took a deep breath and said to her, "Mrs. Sterling, I agree to go abroad." Up until the second before I boarded the plane, Ethan Sterling kept sending me messages. He had been confined at the Sterling estate by the Sterlings and didn't know I was about to go abroad. After boarding the plane, I directly took out my phone SIM card and threw it into the trash can. Watching the scenery outside the window recede, my heart finally found peace. After sleeping and having an in-flight meal, I finally arrived in the country Mrs. Sterling had arranged for me. Looking at the unfamiliar country and the streets full of strangers of different skin colors, my mood slowly began to lighten. During my 4 years of university, I not only completed my studies but also worked part-time to gain experience. 4 years later, I returned to the country with an excellent resume and immediately secured a position at a top domestic company. During these 4 years, I also heard about Ethan Sterling, although I had changed my phone number and buried my social media accounts. Ethan Sterling had always been flamboyant and was a well-known wealthy playboy, so I was constantly surrounded by news about him regardless. I heard that in the first year after I left, he frantically searched for me everywhere, but his parents had cut off his cards, leaving him no means to mobilize manpower. In the second year after I left, he graduated from university. I heard that he had many different girlfriends that year, and all of them were targeted by Sophia. Sophia would drive one away and he would just find another. In the third year after I left, he seemed to finally settle down and got engaged to Sophia. This caused a huge stir in the country. I heard the Sterlings strongly opposed it, but ultimately couldn't resist the two children's defiance and agreed to the marriage. In the fourth year after I left, I heard that Ethan Sterling joined his family company, and Sophia worked by his side as his personal assistant. Over these 4 years, Listening to his stories felt like reading a melodramatic romance novel. They went through countless hardships but ultimately ended up together, and I was probably just a supporting character in their story, eventually sent abroad and losing all contact. After returning, I didn't go back to New York City. There was nothing left there for me to miss. So, I chose Los Angeles as the place for my future development. Moreover, Los Angeles was an unfamiliar place to me. I wouldn't have to worry about suddenly encountering familiar people here, and could live freely. But this notion was shattered on my very first day at work after returning home, because as soon as I sat down at my desk, I saw Ethan Sterling and Sophia. Ethan Sterling stopped in front of me, visibly shaken. The corners of his eyes were red. Compared to 4 years ago, he had completely shed his youthful innocence, and his entire being exuded a sharp, formidable aura. Sophia followed behind him. Compared to 4 years ago, Sophia had undergone a drastic transformation. Although she wore expensive luxury brands, her whole demeanor was completely off, and her eyes when she looked at me were filled with hatred. Seeing Ethan Sterling staring at me, she came over and affectionately held his arm, reminding him, "Ethan, we have a meeting to attend." But before she could finish, Ethan Sterling pushed her away abruptly. Sophia stumbled and instantly fell to the ground. Everyone's gaze converged on the three of us at that moment. Ethan Sterling walked to my side and extended his hand to me. He softly whispered my name, Lily, but I didn't respond to him. I merely continued to calmly work on my tasks. My expression, as if he were a stranger, completely pierced Ethan Sterling's heart. His hand, suspended in midair, slowly retracted. Sophia had already gotten up from the ground. She looked at Ethan Sterling and reminded him again about the meeting, and only then did Ethan Sterling walk out decisively. After they left, a colleague gossiped to me. The media always says how sweet Mr. Sterling and his fiancée are, but I just saw their relationship doesn't seem so good, does it? I laughed, deflecting the question. The next second my colleague asked me, "I just saw Mr. Sterling kept staring at you. Do you two know each other?" "No, why would I know him?" I flatly denied it on the surface, but inwardly, I let out a heavy sigh. Was the world really that small that I couldn't avoid Ethan Sterling even if I wanted to? My colleague chattered in my ear, and I learned that the Sterling estate was opening a new branch company in Los Angeles, and the project was assigned to Ethan Sterling. Our company was the first they wanted to partner with. As expected, when I left work, I saw Ethan Sterling downstairs at the company. He had come specifically to wait for me. The moment he saw me, he pulled out a large bouquet of white roses from the passenger seat. "Welcome back. These are the white roses you used to love most." Ethan Sterling looked at me, a hint of apprehension in his eyes. I chuckled softly, not taking the roses he offered. "Mr. Sterling, you're an engaged man now. Sending roses to your ex-girlfriend seems inappropriate, doesn't it?" Hearing me mention his fiancée, Ethan Sterling's emotions were clearly agitated. "I am engaged to her, but if you want me to, I can break off the engagement right now." Listening to these words, I felt only annoyance, so I refused him directly. "There's no need, Mr. Sterling. So many years have passed. I think we should both have moved on by now. You should focus on your fiancé instead." Seeing that I was about to leave, Ethan Sterling directly threw the roses on the ground and blocked my path with his arms. "Lily, I haven't loved her these past 4 years. From the moment I knew my mother sent you abroad, I thought of you constantly. My engagement to her was just to humiliate her more effectively. If she hadn't framed you so maliciously back then, perhaps we wouldn't be in this situation today. I've kept her by my side these past few years, and though I gave her the title of fiancé, I never treated her as one. If you don't believe me, you can check me. I guarantee that for you, I have remained faithful." Hearing these words, I burst out laughing. "I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling. I don't care if you've remained faithful or if you've given Sophia the treatment of a fiancé. We broke up 4 years ago. If I had to say I feel anything for you, it would be gratitude at most. Thank you for being willing to pay Grandma Rose's medical bill back then. And thank you, Mrs. Sterling, for sending me abroad. I am very grateful to you, but I truly have no other feelings for you." With those words, I turned and walked away. Ethan Sterling stood rooted to the spot, only my words echoing in his ears. "But I truly have no other feelings for you." After I left, He painfully picked up the white roses and furiously smashed them to pieces. From that day on, Ethan Sterling began to appear frequently in front of me. He leveraged his position as my boss's business partner, repeatedly having me deliver documents and even attend their business dinners. For this decent job, I could only plaster on a fake smile again and again and complete my duties. Sophia never appeared again, and many news articles about their broken relationship surfaced in entertainment gossip. But as long as it didn't involve me, none of it had anything to do with me. This day, the business dinner concluded and the project was finally wrapped up. I heard that after this project, Ethan Sterling would be returning to the New York headquarters. So I ate twice as much as usual during the meal. After the banquet, I went to the restroom. When I came out, I found Ethan Sterling waiting at the door. He held a jewelry box in his hand. When he saw me, he opened the box, revealing an expensive diamond-encrusted watch. The moment I saw the watch, my face instantly fell. Since Sophia had slandered and framed me, I had never worn a watch again, nor did I like such jewelry or accessories. And now Ethan Sterling stood before me with a watch. Lily, our misunderstanding was caused by a watch. So I specifically had a diamond-encrusted watch custom made for you. I hope you like it. He finished speaking, then knelt on one knee, holding up the watch to me and said, Lily, if you're willing to come back to New York City with me, I promise I will completely cut ties with Sophia. I will also give you the life you've always wanted. Lily, please give me another chance. Okay. I looked at him. Just then a tall figure came up behind me. He took my hand directly and pulled me into his embrace. I turned to look and saw my husband, Daniel Hayes, standing behind me, looking at me affectionately. I was a little surprised. Why are you here? Weren't you supposed to be abroad for another half a month? Daniel Hayes looked at Ethan Sterling with a somewhat dangerous glint in his eyes. If I didn't come back early, I'm afraid my wife might be stolen away. I chuckled softly. How could that happen? Who are you? Why are you calling Lily wife? Seeing the scene before me, Ethan Sterling's eyes widened. Daniel Hayes looked at him disdainfully. You must be my wife's ex-boyfriend, right? I've heard about you, your trouble. Lily, why does he call you his wife? Ethan Sterling ignored Daniel Hayes's words, his voice breaking as he asked me, You're married? I nodded, met with his shocked gaze. Actually, I had been married for half a year already. Daniel Hayes was a senior I met while studying abroad. We developed feelings over time. Our values and habits were very similar and we slowly grew close. Before I decided to return to the States, he took me to get our marriage certificate. So, Daniel Hayes calling me his wife was perfectly reasonable. Seeing me nod, Ethan Sterling instantly went wild, throwing a punch at Daniel Hayes. Who the hell do you think you are? Daring to marry my Lily? Ethan Sterling put all his strength into the punch, sending Daniel Hayes crashing to the ground. Not to be outdone, Daniel Hayes grabbed Ethan Sterling's collar and they began to grapple. An hour later, I walked out of the police station with the two men. Ethan Sterling looked at me with a chilling gaze. Lily, divorce him. Hearing this, Daniel Hayes chuckled. Had enough, wealthy heir? Go home, okay? Asking my wife to divorce me right in front of me. I felt a bit exhausted. I stopped and looked at Ethan Sterling. Ethan, it's been so many years. You need to let go. Ethan Sterling looked at me pleadingly. Is there really no chance for me? I nodded and took Daniel Hayes's hand, preparing to leave. But just then, Sophia Sterling darted out from somewhere, holding a gleaming knife, rushing directly at me. Lily Chun die! She screamed as she lunged at me. But the next second, the knife in her hand stabbed Ethan N. Sterling. Daniel Hayes, with lightning speed, kicked Sophia Sterling to the ground. Ethan Sterling had only injured his arm. He quickly pulled out his phone and called the police. Sophia Sterling, realizing she couldn't escape, lay on the ground, continuing to hurl insults at me. Lily Chan, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how would I have ended up like this today? If you hadn't come back, I would have become Mrs. Sterling someday. Even if it was just in name, what difference would it make? I'd still be Mrs. Sterling. But you came back and Ethan Sterling became obsessed with you again. Do you know how much I hate you? I hate your face. So similar to mine but more beautiful. I hate that you went abroad for 4 years and came back with such an impressive resume. Why did you come back? Wasn't it good staying abroad? She spat out many angry words. then suddenly looked at Ethan Sterling. And you thought you loved her so damn much. That whole act of going to the construction site and moving bricks to save her grandma Rose, that was all fake, wasn't it? I'm going to make you all die today. At this, Ethan Sterling stepped forward and slapped Sophia Sterling across the face, then looked at me, his face filled with apprehension. My face remained impassive because Mrs. Sterling had already told me about this when she sent me abroad. How could a wealthy heir like Ethan Sterling genuinely go through hardship at a construction site just to pursue a girl? It was nothing more than a cheap trick to win my heart. Ultimately, Sophia Sterling was sent to prison for aggravated assault and sentenced to 4 years. From that day on, Ethan Sterling returned to New York City and never contacted me again. I suppose he finally gave up. 2 years later, I transferred over $2 million that I had saved to Mrs. Sterling. This money was for her sponsorship of my studies abroad and Grandma Rose's medical bill from that year. I supported myself through work study for the 4 years I was abroad. Without her money, it would have been very difficult to survive abroad, no matter how much I worked. It's fair to say that without Mrs. Sterling, I wouldn't be who I am today. Upon receiving my transfer, Mrs. Sterling called me. Towards the end of our conversation, she sighed heavily. You truly are an excellent child, Lily, but it's a pity that you and Ethan Sterling were simply not meant to be. I smiled softly and after a brief exchange hung up the phone. Fate is mysterious and profound. True connection lies where my heart truly belongs.